And what drew you to writing and researching Detroit specifically?
So I was spending a lot of time in Detroit, and I am a history nerd, so I immediately fell down a rabbit hole into Detroit's history, especially, the cultural history. Fell madly in love with the city, and that happened to coincide with a research rabbit hole I was on the pansy and lesbian craze of the 1930s and also the history of queer bars. And putting those dots together pretty much immediately, made this narrative spring to mind for me. So Detroit's history, being there, researching it was a huge influence in the book.
Yeah. And my understanding of Detroit history is it was particularly maybe hopping in the 1920s and 30s because it's so close to Canada that Prohibition, it was a really strategic place for bootleggers and people who were bringing alcohol in. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the gang that was running it was called the Purple Gang. That was not an invention for my book. They ran Detroit, pretty much all the liquor in and out of Detroit at some point. And smaller neighborhoods like Hamtramck, where my main character lives in, had a little bit less centralized power. It sort of became part of the greater Detroit metro during this time period. So the reason that I picked Hamtramck for this particular character is that she could be a gang that was contracted for liquor. The Purple Gang was always looking for distributors for hijacked liquor because one of the things that being such a central point for liquor importation, one of the things that created was also opportunities to steal the liquor being illegally imported. So it's not explicitly said in the book, but the reason that Kasha is from Hamtramck is because it felt like a more neutral place for someone who, could put together a distribute who could put together a liquor distribution gang and then run it for the Purples as contractors.